Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our second lesson in the book Expression and Equations 2, which is yellow. And I want to start on page 8. Last lesson, I said we're going to do this together, but I changed my mind. We're going to skip this page. So when we skip, you can cross it out. So that's page 8. Okay, make sure you're on the right page. And then we're also skipping this page, page 9. And then page 10, skipping that as well. And now we're starting on page 11. Yep, page 11. Make sure you're on the right page. And this is probably going to be a little lengthy, so make sure you take a break between and stretch your legs. Don't look at your cell phone. Don't watch TV. Don't stay on the computer. When you take a break, step away from all electronics and maybe go outside or eat something. Drink some water. And don't take a break longer than 10 minutes because you won't come back. You do need a calculator. Not on this page, but eventually. So I'm going to suggest you take a calculator for the harder questions, but for the simple one, use your head. So you're trying to exercise your mental math, but yet for the harder questions, we're going to use a calculator. Solving equations with balance. So think of an equation. Remember, an equation is two equal expressions. So you have something on one side and something on the other side of an equal sign. This is the left side, this is the right side, right? And whatever is here has to balance whatever is here, like a scale. Think of it as a scale. So you have something on the left side and something on the right side, and this is your equal sign here in the middle. And if you put something on this side that makes it heavier, it'll tilt it downward. If you put the same value on this side, it'll bring it back up to balance. Think of that as an equation, okay? And when we solve equations, it means find the missing number. And the missing number is usually a variable, X or Y. It can be any number. I mean, any variable, any letter. But that's our goal, to find what number makes our scale balanced. There's usually one number that makes our equation balance out, where one side is equal to the other side. And that's what's going to happen in the next few years in your math career. You're going to find that X. So let's get started. No calculator here. We're going to try this with mental math. -4 + 5 - 9. We go from left to right. Remember, order of operations was PEMDAS. I'm going to put it over here. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Parentheses first, then exponents, then multiply, divide. These are equally important. You do them from left to right. Adding and subtracting come last, but they're equally important. You do them from left to right, whichever comes first. Most students do not realize that. So the 4 operations, I want to reiterate. We have 4 things we can do with numbers in this level. We can add them, we can subtract them, we can multiply them, and we can divide them. Your job is to figure out when to do what. That's the hardest part. When do I add? When do I subtract? When do I multiply? When do I divide? I think the rest is easy. So -4 + 5, you have a negative counter, 4 of them and 5 positive. So that means you get a 1. and then subtract 9. You have 1 positive counter, but 9 negative counters, so that leaves you with -8. So we're adding and subtracting here. Okay, number 2, we can use parentheses first. So we have 3. By the way, this is a times problem. It's times. There's a button here that you don't see. Yeah, we don't write that. So when you see parentheses and nothing in between, it's times. 2 minus 4 is -2. 3 times -2 is -6. This is a division problem, dividing. The answer is -24 divided by 6 is 4. Here we have to go by PEMDAS, parentheses first. Everything else you rewrite. Times 2 minus 1 is 1. Then you multiply, rewrite. 10 times 1 is 10. Now we have adding and subtracting, left to right. -12 plus 10 is -2. When you see this kind of scenario, you insert a 1. There's nothing there, insert a 1. Okay, -1. So parentheses, 5 minus 3 is 2. This is a times problem. -1 times 2 is -2. This is times, and this is times. 5 times -2 is -10, minus 3 times 2 is 6. Now we're adding, and we can say -10 plus -6. So this is the same as that. So that's -16. So that was a review on PEMDAS and which operation to use. Okay, these you need to do without a calculator. I expect you to be able to do these in your head. Okay, next we're reviewing build and draw as needed. So remember cups and counters. You have 2 choices. You can do cups and counters, or you can distribute. So I'm going to show you each way again. Okay, so we have 1 cup plus 2 cups plus 1 minus 3. 1 plus 2, 3 cups. These cancel out, minus 2. Do not combine X's and numbers. So I'm going to put that combine only like terms. And I want you to highlight those things that I'm saying are important. So take a highlighter or something to, this is supposed to be a highlighter, believe it or not, but make it stand out to where you see it. Use a different color. I could have used red. Circle it, put arrows at it to help your eye to go to it when you study, which I'm hoping you do before you do your homework. You should look at it again. Okay, this one, we can use cups and counters again, but this one I'm going to show you in a different way. So you choose which one you need. We have x minus 5, 4 groups. 4 groups of x minus 5. 4 of them. And then this minus 2 cups, you're going to take 2 cups and get rid of them because you're taking away 2 cups. So 2 of them are gone. So now what do we have left? 2 cups, which is 2x, and that's negative 20. Count them if you have. So you're like, where did the 20 come from? It's 4 times 5. Okay. So don't combine those, leave it as your answer. This one we're going to distribute. Distributive property says multiply everything in the parentheses by what's outside. So I'm starting with the negative 3. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 2 is positive 8. And then you can regroup to see that you have to add these first. You don't have to, but it sometimes helps. Make sure the signs, the pluses and minuses stay in front of the number. They have to stay with the number. Negative 3 plus 8 is 5. And that's the answer. Okay. And now we're going to solve each equation. So when you solve an equation, you want to find the number for x that balances the equation. So let's look. We're going to start by thinking of this as a scale. So you can start making your little line here. That's your fulcrum. That's where the scale balances. So on this side, on my scale, what do I have? I have a 4. On this side of my scale, I have 100. What do I have to put here to make it equal to 100? 96. Because now we have a balanced scale. So x has to be 96. Four plus 96 is 100. Check. Says you have to check. Okay, substitute it back and check. So this is a little weird scale, but anyways, let's try one more like that. I'm going to draw the scale over here or here. So you think of this as your scale, left side, right side. You have 38 on this side and only 13 here. Let's draw that. So you have 38, and over here you have 13. Well, what do you have to add to balance it? You have to add to the side how much? How much do you have to add to balance it out? 25, I think. 13 plus 25, right? So this right here has to be 25 because 25 plus 13 is 38. So if 5 times a number is 25, if 5 times a number is 25, what's the number? 5 times 5, right? So I'm going to check that. And I'm going to plug it in. For x, I'm going to put 5. So 5 times 5 plus 13 has to be 38. 25 plus 13 is 38. It checks. Okay. This one, let's try that again. This side has to, the left side has to balance out with the right side. On the right side, so I'm going to draw my scale over here. On the right side, I have 38. On the left side, I only have a 3, right? That 3, this counts as 1. Okay, this counts as 1. So this 3, well, I have to add 3 plus what is 38? 35. No, wait, yeah. No, it's 36. Yeah. So what, 33, right? Oh, you know what? It's not plus, it's times. I'm messing this one up big time. 3 times this quantity has to be 36. So 3 times what is 36? So 3 times whatever is in this parentheses will equal 36. Well, that's going to be 12 because 3 times 12 is 36. So the value of these parentheses has to be 12. Now think, what number minus 8 is 12? What number take away 8 is 12? It has to be 20. 20 minus 8 is equal to 12. So x is 20. Okay, if you check it out, x is 20, take away 8 is 12. 12 times 3 is 36. Now it balances. You want to check, okay, especially in the beginning when we're practicing. And this is probably pretty new to you all. And something that's new is never easy to master. So please do not feel, how do I say, throw up your hands and say, I can't do this. You can with time. It just takes time to get used to a new concept. So don't get frustrated. Try to stay with it. Even if you don't get it all the way, eventually, if you stay at it, you will understand it with practice and time, okay? Nobody's perfect right away. Number 13, here's a balanced scale. Remember the scale I always draw? Well, the middle is called the fulcrum. That's our equal sign right here. Yeah, left side, right side. What happens if 4 counters are added to the left side? What do you think happens? This side will go down. It's heavier, right? It goes down. And what happens if I want to balance it again? What is if I want to bring it back to balance? Then you have to add 4 on this side. Add the same to right side. So this is kind of to balance, yeah? This is kind of an idea that whatever you do to one side of an equation, you must do to the other side, or else your equation is out of balance. To keep it balanced, whatever you do to the left side, you must do to the right side, okay? So this is an important concept. You might want to put an arrow highlighted. This right here is a very hard equation, so I'm going to start that for you and then see who can finish it. Try to solve this equation. So 3 times a number plus 2 groups of the number minus 2 plus 5 times a number, take away 1, all equals 0. Notice our right side, there's nothing there. So that means this side has to balance out to equal 0 as well somehow. So what number for x will make that happen? Why is this more challenging? Obviously, you have more terms, you have more parts. It's a bigger equation. It's got more stuff going on. So here's the deal. You always simplify as much as you can before you start. So my simplifying is to get rid of these parentheses. So I'm going to say 3x, I start here, plus 2 times x is 2x. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Watch the negative. Plus 5x minus 1 equals 0. Okay, now here's what you do. You need to always combine like terms before you combine like terms first on the right side. And then I want to see who can find x. And you rewrite it. So you combine your x's and then your numbers and you rewrite it and make it shorter. So you want to simplify your equation. Now, after that, who can find x? So I'm going to make that homework. I want to see who can figure that out. I'm curious, okay? I'll give you a clue. X is a fraction. So that's my clue. Okay, that was page 11, guys. Moving along. Now, again, do not feel overwhelmed. Make sure you write things out. Make sure you use maybe a calculator to do the computations. We don't want to be bogged down with, at this point, arithmetic, computing numbers should be a given. You learned that in elementary school, 4th, 5th grade. Now you're back to learning, you're up to learning higher concepts. So you should know how to do it. If it's too much, use a calculator. We're now on page 12. These are notes, it looks like. Yep. Equation solving strategy, more balancing. Balance, it's all about balance. Follow your T. V represents unknown quantity, unknown number. And it's usually an X, yeah? Plus means a positive one, a minus means a negative one counter, right? So we're building, write the equation and build it. So here we're gonna use counters. Here we're gonna use formal algebra steps. This is how we're going to end up doing it all the time. The counters are just to help us get started. Okay, so this is going to be what you're going to really learn in 7th grade. And it keeps going in 8th grade and 9th grade. But once you're good at it, you're going to do much better in algebra. All right, here's your continue the building process until the equation is solved. Write some steps and the solution. Check using substitution. Here's our equation. And I made that up. So you cannot say, where did she get that from? It's just the problem. 9 equals 2 times an unknown number plus 5. What is the unknown number? Some of you are already going, I already see what that number is. That's true. Pretty easy equation. But let's do what the question is asking. So first I like to draw a line through my equal sign. On this side, I have 9 positives. If you don't have a sign, it's a positive. Yeah. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then I have 2 cups and 5 positives. So that's the building. All right, now look, we can make this side and this side lighter. We can take some stuff off. If we take some stuff off our scale, it makes our equation simpler. So notice I have 5. I can take these 5s off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And how about if I take these off? The same amount, right? 5 and 5. I'll just take it off my scale, but it's still going to be balanced because I'm taking the same amount off. So what do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4 equals, and I have 2 x's left. So I have a positive 4 and 2 cups. So if you think 2 positives per cup, right? If you chunk it together, you get 2 positives per each cup. Right? So the cup turns out to be 2 positives. Is that correct? So that means x is equal to positive 2. So that's a way to solve it. And now we're using the check. I'm going to make it green. I don't like green, but make it something different. Now, remember, we substituted back. So I'm going to write my equation, but in place of x, I'm going to write 2 and finish the problem. 2 times x means 2 times 2 because x is 2. Multiply before add. 4 plus 5 is 9. It's balanced. Okay, now here comes the formal algebra steps. This is going to be what you really are going to do later on. 9 equals 2x plus 5. So you got left side, right side. What did we do first? We got rid of the 5, right? See how we eliminated the 5? So I'm going to subtract it on both sides. So the 5 and 5 is gone. That's this part right here. And the 9 minus 5 is 4. That's this part right here. And the 2x are still here. Okay, so subtract 5 from both sides. Make sure you line up your numbers. Yeah, it's all about lining up. And then what happened from here to here? I divided up. I said, okay, 2 go for each x, right? For each cup gets 2 pluses. So that's a division problem. I'm dividing by 2. I'm finding 2 groups. These cancel out. Bring down the x. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Okay, formal algebra steps. This is what we're learning how to do in the end effect. Okay, next we got a new problem, like a little bit trickier. It's got parentheses. 3 times 3 groups of 2x plus 1 is equal to 21. So that's a times, right? So now let's draw that. So I have 2x plus 1, 3 of them. 1, 2, 1, 2. 3 groups of 2x plus 1. And now we have to unfortunately draw 21 pluses. Okay, so this is my left side, this is my right side. I got 3 pluses. I can make my scale lighter and take these away. So I'm taking these out, take them off the scale. It has to be the same amount. Now my scale is lighter. That's it. So now what do I have left? 6, nope, not 3, 6. 6x, 6 cups. And what do I have left here? 21 take away 3 is 18, right? So what you can visualize is you have 6 cups, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you got 18 pluses. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So how many pluses go to each of these? I think it's 3. That's 1. Another 3. 2. So each gets 3. So I'm grouping it up by 3. So that means each cup gets 3, and that's my solution. Okay, so now let's check. So I'm going to check right here, because they did say check, right? So 3 times 2 times 3 plus 1 has to equal 21 to make it true balance. Parentheses first. 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7. 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7. 3 times 7 is 21. And it balances. Okay. Now we're going to do our algebra. So I'm going to show you the shorter way, which eventually, hopefully, you'll get the hang of. We're going to practice in class on our whiteboards. Don't you worry, okay? I'll walk around and see how you're doing. So I'm going to distribute. Distributive property says multiply everything in the parentheses by 3 plus then I'm going to, what did we do? Oh, look, we got rid of 3. We took them out, right? That means I'm going to subtract them on both sides. This goes away, 6x. 21 take away 3 was 18. And then you simply divide by that number. That gives you the groups. X is 3. And last but not least, the very hard question, the hardest one yet. See who can hang. If you understand that, you're really good. If not, don't worry. You're like me, a little slow, and I'm not saying that to be mean. It's okay, because I was always struggling in math in high school. And look what happened. X plus 9 plus 3 times the group x minus 2 is equal to negative 11. So always draw your line. Since this is a big problem, I'm going to make a big line. So let's draw our cups. 1 and 9 positives. 9, yep. And then we have 3 groups of x take away 2. And then we have negative 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, let's think about the scale. Okay, we can definitely take away stuff to make it easier, right? I got 6 negatives. And I'm going to take 6 negatives over here and throw them out, right? Now what do I have left? I have 4x and then a 9 and then minus 3. Now we have to do something that is probably a little bit difficult to oh, you know what I did? That's what I did. I need to undo this. Sorry, guys. This is where I was heading. You're gonna have to erase. I undo, you erase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is good to make mistakes. It's good because you learn from your mistakes, and I have to think before. So whenever you do this, whenever you have pluses and minuses on the same side, you do not go to the other side, you take them away here. So you're going to match up the pluses and minuses on the same side first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because these are opposites, so they're gone. That's what it is. So these are getting matched up first on the same side. Okay. Now we got I had to think for a second. Yeah, this is a tricky one. So on the left side, you only want cups. You don't want any pluses or minuses. So these 3 are in the way. These 3 need to be moved over here. But you can't just move them without changing them. So when you move these pluses to the other side, they're going to become minuses. Weird, huh? Sorry, guys, this is tricky. And here they're gone. So we have gotten rid of all the pluses and minuses. These canceled out. These I moved over here, but they have to be changed to the opposite. Let's regroup. I got 4 cups, which is 4x. And then let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 minuses. Don't forget the minus. And now this is going to be a fraction. You notice 4 doesn't go into 14 to group it. So I'm going to just give you the answer. It's -3.5, but I'll show you over here how that worked, okay? 4 times -3.5 is equal to -14. So let's make this side over here just the algebra, x plus 9 plus 3 groups of x minus 2 is equal to -11. Draw your line. Okay, the first thing is solving parentheses. Start from the front, rewrite everything, but when you get to the parentheses, you need to multiply. So then you combine like terms. Remember, you make your equation as short as possible. Put a 1 here. 1x plus 3x is 4x. Positive 9, take away 6 is positive 3. So where are we at here now? See, these 3 were left over. Then these disappeared, and that's from here to here. I combined these two right here. And then I had 3 left. And these 3 are going to end up over on the other side. I'm moving them over here. So I have to subtract 3. Notice they were subtracted. It's the opposite of adding is subtracting. 4x, -14, and then divide by 4. This is from here to here. Use your calculator if you have to. It is -3 1/2, or 3.5. Okay, that is page 12. Look at it for a second. Make sure you pause and finish your notes. Sometimes it helps, guys, if you don't write and just watch and then pause the video and copy it, because we cannot write and think at the same time often. So it helps to do that. Page 13 is homework. And the harder ones, if you don't finish that, we can finish it in class. These are getting really hard. Okay, so try your best. You might finish number 1, you might finish number 2, but then you start struggling. So when you start struggling, don't despair. Wait till we're back in class, okay? At least you're gonna try. That's all I care, is that you try your best. So that's page 13. 14 is notes. Vicky, Nikki, and Ricky. Okay. Vicky, Nikki, what? Vicky and Nikki discussed how they might solve the equation 20 times an unknown quantity plus 78 has to equal 12. Tells me that that unknown number is a negative number. Looks like it. Because you can't add 78 and get an answer of 12. This has to be somewhere in the negative range, right? Vicky said, first I'm going to divide the expression by 20, everything divided by 20. Why is this difficult to execute? Well, first of all, I want you to always, when you solve equations, you always add or subtract first. And then at the end, you multiply or divide. Okay, for when you solve the equation, you always start by adding and subtracting to both sides, and then in the end you divide. Mostly it's dividing. Sometimes we end up multiplying. And the key is you got to do it to both sides. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other side. Nikki said, first I'm going to subtract 78. Even though Nikki has the right idea, explain why this language is not precise. You need to do the same thing to both sides. And instead of saying thing, I'm going to use it operation. Adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. And now we're going to solve the equation. So 20 times the number D plus 78 is equal to 12. And I'm going to use algebra, so I subtract. I start by subtracting 78. And you're saying, why does she subtract? It's the opposite of adding. You do the opposite. These are the ones that are getting moved to the other side. They go away. 12 take away 78 is negative 58. And last, I divide. I want to see how many groups of 20 I get out of this. Use your calculator. And it's a division problem. 2.9. Ricky has $240 in her savings account. She deposits or puts in $20 per month. The word per always indicates multiplication. So I'm going to put a multiplication sign here, 20 per month. Depending on the months, that's how much money she has for several months, okay? Write a numerical expression for the amount of money that is in Ricky's account after 6 months. So she starts out with a 240, and depositing means adding. And then she does $20 for 6 months. That's your numerical expression, only numbers. Okay, 6 times 20, and then add to what she had in the beginning. Write a variable expression. This uses a variable. Okay, so how much does she have after n months? N is our variable. So start out with 240 and add for each month $20, 20 times n. You don't have to have the times button. I'm going to write it the way it's written. Normally, it just looks like that. 20n. That tells you 20 times how many months? 2 months would be 40 plus 240. She has $280. Okay, those are the expressions. Write an equation. Remember, equations have an equal sign and something on both sides of the equal sign to represent that Ricky has $580 in her account after n months, then solve. Okay, so she has $580. I want to know how many months. She started out with 240 and she adds $20 for each month. So now we can solve. I'm going to subtract 240, move that over here, Combine it with the other number. 580 minus 240 is 340. 20n. Divide by 20. Both sides. Use a calculator if you must, or you can just see you can cancel common zeros. The number of months is 34 divided by 2, 17 months. N is the number of months. It takes 17 months to save $580. Okay. Ricky decides to be more ambitious, meaning she's going to save more. She's saving $25 a month. So we're upping this to 25. Everything else stays. We want to know how fast she can save 580 bucks if she makes it 25. She starts out with 240 and then adds $25 per each month. Same thing. $580 minus 240 is 340. 25n. So the only thing that changes is we're dividing by 25. We want to know how many groups of 25 can we form. And it's less, 13.6. So I want to show you how to change this. So it takes 13.6. So take the 0.6 and multiply it by 30 days. Because there's 30 days in a month, which is 18. So it takes 13 months and 18 days. To save her 580 bucks. So this is a way you can change decimals to the next lower unit. After month comes days, and if you want to change it to hours, you would keep going 24 hours in a day, always multiply by the lower units. All right, so this is page 14, and I think we're done because, no, okay, 14. This is a long lesson. This is homework. And I want you to not despair. We can do it in class. So if you can only find one, then don't worry. We will take care of these in class. This is going to be a process we will practice for a long time. Okay, so we're going to use our whiteboards and we're going to practice. But I want to get you started on the next page, which is page 16. It says geometry review. So the words, I need to make sure you understand the words. So this is notes. Geometry review. Okay, we're going to just have the teacher refresh our memory. An equilateral triangle. An equilateral triangle has all equal sides. And you show that with these tick marks. The perimeter, which is the distance around, or simply add all sides. Perimeter, capital P is 15 inches. And we want to find the length of each side, but they're all the same. So I can just divide that by 3, right? And that leaves me with 5 inches for each side. So perimeter, equilateral triangle, okay? An isosceles triangle has 2 equal sides. Congruent has two congruent sides. Congruent means equal in geometry. So let's draw one. It always helps to make a sketch, always. So these two are congruent, two equal sides. 5 inches each, and the third is 9 inches. So label it, and this is 9. Make a sketch, there it is. Label the side length, there they are. And find the perimeter. You add all the sides. Capital P stands for perimeter, okay? 5 plus 5 is 10, 10 plus 9 is 19 inches. I always use units. I hope you do too. Now I'm going to stop here because, no, I'm going to show you number 3 and then we'll skip number 4 and 5. The perimeter of a rectangle, so draw a rectangle. Very first thing. If I see a test come back from you guys and you didn't do that, that tells me you didn't watch. Always draw the shape, okay? And then label it. The perimeter is 54 centimeters. The length is 16. So I label the length with 16. Opposite sides are equal. What is the width? This is the question. Okay. So since we don't know the width, excuse me, you can put a question, excuse me, you can put a question mark on there. That's the unknown quantity, or how do we call it in algebra? We call it an X, right? A symbol. You can call it anything, right? Remember, I had a heart for a symbol. Whatever the symbol is, it stands for an unknown quantity. So now if you understand math and numbers, you can figure out what X is with trial and error. Trial and error doesn't mean you got to make an error. It just means you get an error and you try again. So you try different numbers and you add, gosh, I need some, sorry guys. After so many videos, you get, you can't talk anymore. So if you have a good number sense, you can kind of try different numbers and add them up and see if they come up to 54. That's called trial and error. So you say 2 times 16 plus what number has to equal 54? Well, 2 times 16 is 32 plus what number is equal to 54? But then you have to remember that that number is not the answer because you got to divide it by 2 because you got 2 equal sides. Anyways, trial and error, try it out. It works. It's a good thing. But now we're writing an equation. The equation means you add all 4 sides and it has to add to equal. So x plus 16 plus x plus 16 has to equal 54. This is the equation. So you got 2 x's here, 1, 2. Combine your like terms, 16 plus 16 is 32. And then that equals 54. So now we have made the side as short as possible. I can switch things around to the other side. This goes away. 54 minus 32 is 22, I believe, right? Yeah. So 2 groups of x has to be 22. That means 1 group is 11. So our side width, our width has to be 11. And you guys already figured that out by using trial and error. I know that, but I want you to see that equations work as well. 16 plus 16 plus 11 plus 11 has to equal 64 and it 54, and it does. So now we're going to skip number 4. And I think we're also skipping this. I believe that's our last page because I'm running out of boys. So this is homework. Those are hard. You're going to try it though, and then come back and see. Remember, make a sketch. And it tells you right here, organize your work. Make a sketch of the shape, write an equation, solve the equation, answer the question, check your answer in the original problem. So you got 5 things for each problem. Rectangular field, what's my sketch? A rectangle. Label the parts. The perimeter is 256. The longer sides are 28 feet more than the shorter side. Call the shorter side X and the longer side 28 more than that. So there are your labels. The shorter side is the X, the unknown. The longer side is 58 more. When you add all these up, your equation has to equal 256. So this gets you started at least. Good luck to you guys. I will see you soon.